Welcome to Prescribing Possibility, conversations that inspire us to heal, grow, and live with harmony. I'm your host, Dr. Dimtna Weil. Thanks for joining me for your weekly dose of thoughtful conversation and personal transformation. Let's get started. Hello, friends. Welcome to Prescribing Possibility. Glad you're back for your weekly dose of thoughtful conversation and personal transformation. So honored that you're spending your precious time here with me. Today, we're going to be joined by creativity maven Michelle Garside, who helps mission-driven people uncover the souls of their brands, and you do not want to miss this. It's wonderful. But first, I want to tell you a little story about myself and Michelle. So, I'm writing a book to support the burned out and struggling physicians and other healthcare workers and other professionals. Really, will I think gain from it, but it's told through my own lens as a doctor, um, and for people who are just feeling so alone in that struggle right now. And just as I was making progress with my book proposal, I realized that I needed to give a little bit of love to my um, attention to my website because it was lovely, sure. I had done it myself. I was very proud of that fact, but I had created it several years ago when I was just starting to offer my coaching services. I was still very much in the sadness of the change in my circumstances. Um, and it reflected that. It didn't really, now it wasn't really reflecting who I have been becoming, I suppose is how you could say it. And so enter the magical and magnificent Michelle Garside. And so she's like the real deal. And she's so unassuming. Um, it's all roses and rainbows, and we can chat for 2 hours, and that's what you do, and you work with her, and then boom, all of a sudden she can find that golden thread and create and creates and can see your new brand for you and with you. Um, Admittedly, I was very skeptical at first, but then as promised, I actually spent those 2 hours and it felt like 2 minutes passed. And I was a mess, having laughed and cried and everything in between. And prescribing possibility was born. Um, and having someone else hold that space for me was exactly what I needed to rediscover who I was. And sometimes we all could use somebody else, like a coach, a mentor, a Michelle, to listen to our words and to then listen to what remains unsaid. Because I think sometimes you'll hear Michelle talk about the gold. I think sometimes the gold lies in what's not said as much as the words that come out of our mouths. And then, you know, with great care, that other person can hold the most beautiful mirror and reflect back your deepest and truest self, but just by listening and by using their intuition without any judgment, without any, criticism, just reflections and support. And suddenly we get to see and open up to what possibilities have been lying there in plain sight, but we were not able to see for ourselves. That's where the magic happens. Um, and with that, I will introduce you to Miss Michelle Garside. So, Michelle Garside is the author of Not Awakened, to be published by Hachette Balance, scheduled for May of 2026. She's the co-founder of Soul Camp Creative, a sacred strategy house devoted to working with ideas that change the world. And she's the creator of the Connecticut Women's Club, a dynamic community for women seeking meaningful connections. They are also she's curating experiences, opportunities to grow, inspire, and empower. She's a visionary brand architect. Michelle has spent the last 15 years transforming personal and corporate identities, crafting brands that resonate at the deepest level. After leaving a successful career in the pharmaceutical industry, where she helped build powerhouse brands like Unilever and Johnson and Johnson and Pfizer, she dedicated herself to a more profound mission, helping individuals uncover the soul of their own brand. With a gift for seeing the through line that connects a person's story, purpose, and impact, Michelle has created thousands of personal brands that embody authenticity and alignment. Michelle's been featured in Time, Oprah Magazine, Travel and Leisure, Fitness, Women's Health, Good Morning America, ABC News, Parents, Fortune, um, and Forbes. She has taught and lectured at Milken Global Conference, NYU, Fairfield University, and on Lincoln Center stages. Beyond establishing her branding agency, Michelle has also created the Enchantment Experience, global retreats, and adult sleepaway camps around the nation. So, welcome to Michelle. So, welcome, Michelle. How are you? I am so excited to sit with you and chat and
Oh my
have
gosh.
get to
Thank
know.
you so much for having me. I adore you. I'm obsessed with you. I am so excited to be on this podcast and I'm so excited for this conversation.
Well, that makes two of us. I absolutely love and adore you. And one of the, best things I think about our relationship is that I have met somebody who is, I feel like, is my kindred. Like, really, like you just see things in a way that not a lot of people do, which is, you look at the big picture, you have a very spiritual sort of approach to things. Um, I just want to start off with you just sharing a little bit. I've shared your official bio, but give us a little bit of a story of who Michelle is.
Who is that girl? Who is Michelle? So I'm Michelle. I'm a mom of two. That's the number one thing I will lead with. I'm a mom of two boys, Riker and Jordy. They're so freaking adorable. I live in Connecticut. I'm a founder, so I started my company Soul Camp about 14 years ago now, which is so wild. Soul Camp Creative, full service brand strategy, sacred strategy house for people and companies who are changing the world. And we do retreats around the world. We do adult sleepaway camps. I'm coming out with my first book called Not Awakened, talking all about shame and embracing all of who we are. The real message of my book and really of my life is that the things that we hide are actually the things that are wanting to connect us to ourselves the most and to one another. And it's the things that we don't want to talk about or that we think are, oh, too humiliating or too gross or too messy. That's actually our message on the planet. That's actually what we're here to learn, be, do, and connect with. So I help people, not just, the clients that I work with, but truly everyone that I come into contact with, look at their hidden parts, right? Look at the parts that we don't want to look at because we think that they're bad or wrong, and see the medicine in all of that and the connection that we're truly looking for with one another, and is there. It's in connecting over those things. So that's really what the book is about. It's talking about body image and it's talking about, the things that I do with food and alcohol and men and my marriage and motherhood and all the messy things in hopes of giving people permission to share their messy stories too. So that's Not Awakened, and that is coming out.
I'm just gonna put a pin in it right there and just ask you a
Yeah.
question. So,
Yes.
like, how you know, like, what was what was the experience like? Or like, did you have a process to kind of like uncover that it's getting to that messy stuff? Like, how did you figure that out?
Honestly, it's been working with thousands of clients over the past 15 years and hearing thousands of stories. And people come to me and they're wanting to create a personal brand and wanting to create, who they are in the world. And what I've learned over and over and over again is that the brand is not about what people do, it's about who they are. And the who they are comes from oftentimes those things that we've gone through that we think are, oh, I'm so messed up, or oh, this, makes me such a weirdo, or whatever that is. If people only knew that I did this, they wouldn't want to be friends with me or follow me or read my book or listen to my podcast. And it's actually those things. I'm like, no, 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 wait, the brand is there. The brand is there. The brand is there. And also in going through my own rock bottoms over my life over and over and over again, I know enough now that, oh, there's gold here. Oh, there's gold here. That life is truly happening for me and not to me. That everything that I'm given, especially the hard parts, especially the messy parts, especially the dark parts, it's here what I'm meant to learn and then help others with. Period. End of story. So anytime I meet anyone going through a really hard time, be it a divorce or a diagnosis or whatever, I'm always like, oh my God, you're in the story. You're in the message of your story right now. Got it. You're in it. So once you get through it, you can help so many other people with it. You can help so many other people with it. So I've learned that, in my own life, I grew up really feeling like I don't belong, something's wrong with me, I'm different, everyone else has it, like understands the manual for living, and I missed it, right? I'm messed up, whatever that narrative was, and that
Truest.
feeling that, ooh,
Let's see. Uh, oh, there you are. You're back. Oh, yeah, yeah.
okay. Sorry, where did I just lose? Where did I lose you?
Um, you were talking about the manual
Okay.
for living.
So I'll start there. So growing up, I just always felt different. I felt not part of. I felt like I didn't really understand how all the other girls like knew how to dress and what to eat and how to communicate with one another. And I was always on the outside looking in. And that sense of feeling like I don't belong has just been my guiding principle in life, of wanting everyone to feel like they belong. And so everything that I do in my life, be it walking into a restaurant or be it creating a dinner or creating an event or having a birthday party, it's all with that sense of come, you belong, you belong, you belong. And the only reason that I have that I am that, is that I went through such dark times of feeling like I don't belong, right? Like my mess truly is my message on this planet. If I had a happy-go-lucky childhood and everything was fine, oh, I'd be so boring. And I'd also not have that impetus to have everyone be like, come sit at my table, come sit at my table, come sit at my table. That wouldn't be part of me. So yeah, I think that truly going through it myself, but also after hours and hours and hours of hearing other stories and me being able to so quickly see, oh, the miracle is in the mud. The medicine is in the mess. The gold is in what you're trying to hide. That's the brand. That really has been what has guided this book.
It's interesting because there's two things that stick out to me, right? One, I so identify with that feeling of like, one, I don't belong, but two, that the hard stuff is there to help us, and it doesn't feel that way when we're going through it. And whether it was, you know, my inability to work because of my, vestibular conditions, or when I was younger, growing up with a mom who suffered with addiction to alcohol and just kind of wanting to like hush hush and not let anybody know and like be the perfect student and all these things, like it was, to hide all of those, like the dysfunction of that. Right, like I totally, and I think a lot of people listening will, that'll resonate, right? We all kind of have, there's something we can identify with that, that feeling and that sentiment. And then two, to know you is like, how on earth could this woman not feel like she belongs? It's amazing. Like, and so I guess, what is that secret sauce for recognizing it? Like, you can, now you've gone through it for yourself, but now when you look at others, right? How, what's that secret sauce to find the magic in somebody else's story? And why is it so hard for us to see it in our own?
Oh, it's so hard for us to see it in our own. It's so hard for us to see it in our own. We're not, we're not meant to go through this life alone. We're not meant to do this thing alone. We need other people to reflect the truth to us, to remind us who we are. We need that. We can't do it alone, right? Like we can't see the label from inside the jar. And my biggest piece of advice, hit rock bottom. But also, no, it's changing your lens through which you see, right? That's really it. I have someone in my life who um she always says over and over and over again, she's like, up, something always happens, something always happens. And I'm like, yeah, Karen, something does always happen to you. You're truly calling that in. Like that is your mantra. Like that is your wish over and over and over again. And so, when I changed my lens from, oh, why is this happening to me? Like, why is this happening to me? To, oh my gosh, I wonder why this is happening for me. I wonder why this is happening for me.
Curiosity, right?
Yeah, like when I switched from frustration to fascination, like I wonder why I'm going through this intense heartbreak, or I wonder why, like, I'm so, even right now, I'm in this moment where I didn't even tell you this, Dimna, but, they might be pushing my book launch like a few months from when it originally was. Oh, I think I did tell you. And booking my book launch, and immediate, like, my first instinct, because I'm human, is like, why me? Right? Like, oh no. But then, so quickly after, probably within 60 seconds, I immediately can go to, all right, I wonder if something like between those months, something really major is going to happen for me, or like I'm going to meet someone and it's going to be like, oh my God, of course the book had to be pushed because this needed to happen first, or I needed to meet this person in order to help me with like, I so quickly now turn to, oh, all right, well, I can't change what is. Let me see what is, like, let me expand my view of why this could be happening. So that's really my lens. Like, when people say, like, what's the one piece of advice, it really is that change your question from why is this happening to me to why is this happening for me, and everything changes from there.
Yeah, and it's a practice, right? So,
It's a
like,
practice.
I mean, we're all going to have those moments where it's like you're in the mud, as I've heard you say before, right? And then it's, do I stay in it or do I decide and make a choice to do something differently, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you've
and
done
it's
s
and it's okay to stay in it too,
Oh,
right? Like I've
yeah.
I've definitely had periods of time where I'm like, I'm sad, and like I'm gonna stay sad. I'm gonna like just sit, and I like really getting into the feeling of feeling sad. Like we are told so often, like that we need to jump to happy, or that we need to jump to, it's okay to be like curious. I wonder why this is happening, for me, but also be like, and this fucking sucks, right? Like, and this sucks. So like to stay in reality, of it, but with a bigger lens, with a bigger lens.
So, going back to kind of the origins of your founding story, right? What interests me about this is like you started in pharmaceuticals.
I started in pharmaceuticals. Yep.
So, how does someone with your creative abilities decide from a stable job in pharmaceutical branding, like launch into this completely, like, almost outrageously creative, like, experience, which you've done with Soul Camp Creative and Soul Camp, and like just literally thinking about what is possible and then going for it. Like, how did that happen? Like, what
Yeah.
changed?
Yeah, it started with a really intense heartbreak, right? Me and my boyfriend broke up. It was the person I thought was my husband, and my whole life had surrounded around him. And once we broke up, I was left with this question of like, who am I now? Like, if I'm not his partner, if I'm not a stepmom to his two girls, who am I now? Like, I had no idea who I was without that relationship. It was like this defining moment of my life of like, what do I even like? Like, what do I even like to do? It was like, oh my gosh. And so during that time, I really dove deep into the wellness, spirituality, personal development world in New York City, which was in 2010, 2011, which was booming, was just booming at the time. And so I started going to all of these events and meeting this whole community of other women who were living their best life. At that point, I did not know any entrepreneurs. Like, I didn't even know what that even meant. But suddenly I was meeting these women who were like working out of Starbucks and like were able to go to a yoga class in the middle of the day. And I was like, what is this? Like, what is this life where, like, how do you make money? Like, I was like, had no idea, but I was started to surround myself with these people who were living their dream, and it opened my eyes of like, oh my God, maybe I don't just go to a corporate job and then become the senior executive and then the vice president and then the senior vice president.
Right.
Maybe there's something else that I could do. And, I was getting just so enamored and wrapped up in the personal development world and changing my mindset and moving my body differently and exploring different things. And then I would go to work. And the version of me that walked into that office had to become so different than the version of me outside of that office that the day came that I was like, I can no longer be Michelle at work and then Michelle outside of work. Like, I can't be these two people anymore. There needs to be an integration of self. So, in very my brand of doing things, I burned it all down. So I, quit my career, and I owned a small apartment at the time on the Upper West Side, a small, tiny 300 square foot apartment with a Murphy bed. But I remember I would say, like, well, I can't quit my job because I have this mortgage. Like, I can't quit my job. I have a mortgage. I have to make at least this amount of money to pay the mortgage. So I can't, I need a job that pays at least this amount of money. And I'll never forget, I was walking to the subway and suddenly I was like, what if I just sell the apartment? What if I just sell it? Like, the thought had never even come into my mind. It was never even a possibility that I could do that. And I freaking sold it. And so I sold the apartment. I made a tiny bit of money that sustained me for 6 months. But it was 6 months of me being able to, I put that 6 month rent payment down on a new apartment. And I went to India and I came back and I was like, I wonder if I could do what I'm doing in pharma, what I was doing for Pfizer, what I was doing for Novo Nordisk. I wonder if I could do it for these women who I'm suddenly surrounded by. I wonder if I could,
Interesting.
so I started just being like, hey, do you want me to look at your website? I used to do this for Pfizer. Hey, do you want me to take a look at your, logo? Like, I used to do this for Novo Nordisk. And everyone was like, yeah, please do this. And then little by little, I remember I was sitting in a Panera Bread, cafe, talking to a nutritionist, and I was like, reviewed her website and gave her, recommendations. And at the end, I was like, would you have paid me for that? And she's like, absolutely. And I was like, how much would you have paid me? And she's like, I don't know, like 250, $300. And I was like, oh, okay, I could charge $300 to do this. So that's how it started. I was literally just like learning as I went. But I was in the right place at the right time. And really, but it came with that courageous decision to
Yes.
live a more integrated life. And, that was in 2011, and it started slow, and then it was no longer slow, and the company grew and grew, and then we had employees, and then it became a whole agency, and amazing things. But it all started with that, like, I don't have to live this way. Like, I don't have to be this person who like shows up into a workplace and like puts the client on mute and talks shit about them with the rest of the people in the room and like, oh, I can't wait for happy hour. I can't wait for the 3 day weekend. Like, I want to live a life where like I love work. I don't live for the weekend. Like,
You
I live for every day. And I
and
didn't
you do
know
that.
any other way than to burn it all down and start over.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but as you're saying that, like, it just makes so much sense because having had the opportunity to work with you, um, it is just it's you. Like, you are your work is you. It's like an extension, like a loving extension of who you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
It's like that you can't really separate them in a really good way, not
Yeah.
in that, like, toxic way. So it's
No.
so obvious that, um, that brave decision to allow yourself to consider what else was out there, like, just likely changed the whole trajectory of your life.
It changed everything. It changed
Yeah.
everything. And it wouldn't have happened if Kevin and I didn't break up and I was at such a bottom being like, I have no idea who I am. And it was from that place of emptiness that I
Mm,
was able to create who I was. And so thank God for that. Thank God for
right?
that.
It's amazing how these little they're not little, but, like, these moments of, I don't know, either desperation or heartache or just life-changing events can just I feel like they're opportunities for us to just pause and think about, like, how are we gonna respond? It's that respond, react sort of thing. Um
Yeah. And like, who can I become from this?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Not like what am I gonna do from like, what because it's happening to me, but, like, as you
Who am
said,
I going to be?
like, what am I gonna become? Like, how is this gonna help shape me into the next best version? You know, it's beautiful. So now, I know you have done a lot of, um work with people in groups, like, retreats and such, but what people may not know is this concept of adult sleepaway camp called soul camp. So,
Yes.
please tell us all a little bit about how that started.
Oh, truly the best. I love talking about Soul Camp so much. I was doing branding and positioning work for those in the spiritual transformational space. Again, this is back in 2011, 2012. And I met this girl named Allie, and she spotted me in an intensati flash mob yelling, like, I am committed to live a life I love, like in Washington Square Park. And she saw me and realized that when we were 9 years old, we had gone to sleepaway camp together. And I'm a few years older than her. So I didn't know her. She was like an embryo at the time to me. But for her, I was one of the older girls and she knew who I was. So she reached out and was like, "Oh my gosh, are you involved in this like New York City spiritual wellness scene? Because so am I." And we connected, and I found out that Allie also was running a company that was doing graphic design for the same exact group of people,
No
spiritual
way.
teachers. So she was a designer, and I was doing the brand strategy and the copy. And we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. We should work together. And so that kind of started this idea of like, all right, how are we going to, like, we work with the same exact community. And anyway, and then the owner of ours, so we started doing these like retreats, like, little things in Vermont, and just being like, come to do yoga and energy work. And then our camp director from Camp Tawanda, where we went to as kids, reached out to us and was like, hey, I see that you guys do these yoga retreats. If you ever want to do a yoga retreat at Camp Tawanda, we rent our facility. And Allie and I will never forget, we were like, oh my God, let's make the camp of our dreams. It was so immediate. It was like, we work with all of these people in this space. They can be the teachers. Instead of soccer, tennis, basketball, it can be Kundalini yoga, burn your fear by the fire. Like it was like, oh my God, what if we brought all of our clients to camp, to Wanda, and called it, and we went back and forth of like Camp 2.0 or, Camp Soul. And then we landed on Soul Camp. And then from there, so in 2013, we planned our first one. We had our first one in 2014. Our website was literally at the time soulcamp2014.com, because it was like we thought it was just going to be this one-off event where we were bringing all of our clients to Camp Tawanda. But we're branders and designers. So we created a whole brand around it and did the whole thing. And we invited our clients to be the teachers, and everyone said yes. And then 150 people came. And we were
No.
like, oh my God, this is what people want.
Yeah.
Like, this is a thing. Like, holy shit. Is this a
Yeah.
company? Like, it was so organic in that way. It was truly, it was like, we were one of the very, very first doing it. And so we got so much media coverage. It was everywhere. We were in Good Morning America, and it was crazy. And, and we hadn't even done one yet. This was just when we were launching it. So there was so much momentum. There was so many articles written about us. Like, it was like so much. And then we had it and it was amazing. And then we're like, all right, I guess this is not just Soul Camp 2014. This is Soul Camp. And the next year we did two, one in California and one in Pennsylvania again. The next year we did four, one in California, one in Pennsylvania, one in New Jersey, one in Chicago. And it just started growing, and it grew to the point where 350 people were coming to each one. It was a huge opportunity for brands to be, brands that we loved and that we believed in, for them to, be part of all of this. And more than anything, Soul Camp is a place to come and remember who you are, right? Like, Soul Camp, you're not on your phones, you're not talking about what you do, you're running around in your shorts and your sandals, going to all of these different workshops outside, you're going in the lake, going to a pool party, and you're meeting friends who are like, come sit at my table, tell us about you, we want to know, right? So it was so many people, the majority of people all came alone. So no one came with like groups of friends or groups. So we had some couples, but it was men and women. It's men and women, and they came, and it's 4 days and 4 nights of workshops happening every hour, really good, amazing, nourishing food, doing Soul Olympics, which is like color war, having a talent show, all the things that we used to do as kids that brought us so much joy before we got in our heads these idea of like, I'm not cool enough, or she's cooler than me, or she's more, in my world, like she's bigger than me, right? Like, has more followers than me, or has more accolades than me, more books than me. And so that would prevent me from ever going up to someone. I'm less than her. I'm less than her. I can't be. And at Soul Camp, all of that's removed, right? It's all removed. And the instructors, there was no like separation between like instructors over here. It was like everyone just eats together. And
Love
it's
it.
the most magical place. So we took a pause for years and years because of COVID, and having babies and all of
I'm
these
so
things, and
yeah.
just popping out a few babies. But we're coming back this summer, and we are coming back in a beautiful way, and we're bringing back some of our OG instructors. There's going to be breath work under the stars, and Tibetan bowls, and a talent show, and intense sati, and arts and crafts, and it's gonna like soulful arts and crafts. There's witches coming to do spell casting, and
Oh my
Eric's doing tarot card reading. It's going to be amazing, and it's happening this summer, August 10th through 15th. We're coming back.
And so two things. One, it's going to be at Omega in Rhinebeck, New York, which is in and of itself
Yes,
amazing because it's a
amazing.
beautiful facility, and just to be at the level at which you are even invited to do something there is just like, I don't know if everybody listening is aware, but that's amazing in and of itself.
No. Well, it's so full circle, and I didn't say this part, but in 2011, when Kevin moved out of our apartment, and I was at this moment of, who am I? What now? I went to Omega. And that weekend, I went to Omega. It was a place I grew up going to Omega. I was in the kids camp at Omega in the 80s. And so I went, my best friend Kim was like, let's get out of this apartment. You don't need to be here when like the U-Haul van is going. Let's go to your place. Like, let's go to that place, Omega. There's this woman there, Patricia Moreno, who's teaching about like your inner child. She sounds like you. Like, let's go there.
Yeah.
And that's where I, for the first time ever, met these other people who were, working out of Starbucks. That's when it all began.
Amazing.
And so it's so full circle because now Intensati, Patricia would open every single soul camp with Intensati, and Patricia
Hold
has
on one
since.
second. You've said that now a few times, and I'm not sure everybody is aware of what intensati is. Can you just, for those
Yeah,
not familiar, explain?
yes. So Intensati, it is a movement practice. It's cardio, but as you are doing each move, you're pairing an affirmation with the move. So it's really a neurolinguistic reprogramming. As you're, punching, you're saying, "I am strong." As you're jumping in the air, you're saying, "I am excited." You're feeling these emotions of joy, and you're really changing your inner dialogue and changing the way that your brain thinks. And it's truly amazing. It changed my whole life because I went around, I was at first just saying things like, and I didn't even realize, but I would be walking around Manhattan and like saying like, "Oh, like you fat bit." Like I would be saying these like horrible things to myself. I didn't even realize it because it was so quick and so like immediate. But if I would like bump into someone, or if I sat down on the subway and I like touched someone next to me, like immediately it would be like, "Oh, you fat bitch," like this horrible thing. And
Oh,
I wasn't even aware that I was saying it until I started doing intensati, and that "I am committed to live a life I love" became my inner dialogue, that I
yeah.
realized, oh my God, number one, I have an inner dialogue, number one. And number two, the one that I was walking around with was so horrible and mean. And like, I would never speak to anyone that way. And I was speaking to myself that way.
Amazing.
And so it's a practice. It's a mindful movement practice that changes the way that you think.
Well, and I think that is a real important point about like what you actually do at soul camp because yes, you go to the lake and there's a pool party and all of these like fun things, but there is like there's real meat and substance there and it's deep work. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's we say transformation and trampolines, but at the core of this, right, is a return to the village. I say a lot, we can't do this thing alone. This thing being life, motherhood, like growing up, entrepreneurship, you name it, like fill in the blank, being in a relationship. Like, we need community around us. We came from community. We came from the village where we used to sit around and share story, sit around and relate to each other, sit around the campfire and connect. And we've so lost that. And in doing so, we're all so lonely and isolated and like in our own little worlds, comparing and despairing. And so Soul Camp is this place where everyone is just like open arms. Come tell me your story. Come tell me about yourself. I want to know. It's a place to come and meet your friends. It's a place to come and remember yourself, truly. And it's what happened to me, right? Like I had no idea who I was outside of work, who I was outside of, being in this relationship, being this like quasi stepmother to these kids. Who
right.
I had no idea who I was. And it was going to this retreat with Patricia at Omega that I didn't just realize who I was, but I began to recreate it. And yeah, and that's Soul Camp.
And just I keep every time you talk about it, I'm like, I'm so curious because I never went to camp as a kid. So like I
You
didn't
have to
have
come.
I I know. I actually sent it to my sister. I was like, so what do you think? She's like, oh my God, I have to see if I have to. She's an administrator in a public school. So she may have some days she has to go in, but I was like, look into it.
It's
Otherwise I'm gonna,
amazing.
yeah, otherwise I'm just gonna, I have to come.
You have
It's,
you must. You're such a soul camper. Are you
I know,
kidding?
I know. It's definitely some, there's always, this is the lesson in it, right? I never had the opportunity to go to camp. And now you are making that possible.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. So cool.
It's
So cool.
awesome. So, there's, you've done so many different things and are continuing to do so many things, and they're all like interconnected and kind of woven together. But I guess my question is, we always have these like dreams and goals, and I call them wildly audacious goals.
Yeah.
Does Do you have one? Do you have a wildly audacious goal today as you sit here?
Yeah, it's a version of myself I'm really leaning into more and more and more. And books and I want to be on really, really big stages. And I want to be someone who's not on stage looking down, being like, I know the answers, but more like, hey guys, I'm right there with you. Maybe let's go this way. Um,
Yeah.
and really just, enabling other people like me who are trying to like hold it all together and look happy and like, that like it's okay to be a mess. Like you must allow yourself to be in the mess because only then will you find the purpose that you're looking for. And so many of us are just out there. What is my purpose? What am I here to do? What am I here to be? Allow yourself to hit rock bottom and you'll find out, right? That's what we say in 12 step recovery. Like it's, truly allow yourself to be in the mess. And I hope that through my books and through all the things that I do in these next 10 years, and I'm really excited for these next 10 years, it gives people the permission to get messy and be okay with that.
And that's actually something which it leads to another kind of step in your life, which is helping others to kind of draw that out, right? So you're now you've moved into also helping people kind of craft their own stories,
Yes.
right? That what is that? It's an offering that you just started to work.
Yeah, so it's one of my favorite new things to do. I just did another one this morning, which is helping people craft their signature speech. What I've realized is so many of us have a story to tell, and so many of us like want to be able to tell that story, and it's not until we actually have the keynote, the speech, the whole entire package that we're like, oh wait, no, this is real. I actually can go on that stage. It's not like something I'm thinking about, it's something I have. And now I can go and say, hey, this is what I talk about. This is who I am. I'm ready to be on your stage tomorrow, right? Like here, it's ready. And that energy changes everything. That energy changes everything. So it's something that I'm really helping people with now, create crafting. What is that message in their heart? Like, what is that message that they're here to share with the world, no matter what stage they're on, the biggest stage possible? What is that big, big, big message that they can take anywhere? And then making it real. So, writing it out, making the slides, preparing them to pitch themselves out in the world, and actually not just be like, one day I'll tell my story, but actually tell your freaking story, because it's the world needs to hear it. The world needs to hear your experience and your knowledge and your messiness and your triumph, and they need to hear all of it, right? It's so important now more than ever. Now more than ever. So doing that and helping people craft, what is the story of their life, their personal brand, just pulling out the messaging of what they're here to be on this planet. And then for some people, how that applies to their work, to their courses, to their speeches, to their this, to their that. That's the love of my life, truly.
Amazing, and I look forward to
Yeah,
participating.
I can't wait. I
Um,
can't wait.
so you as I kind of, as we kind of round out our conversation this morning, um, I like to kind of end with a little dose of inspiration for everyone on a weekly basis. And so my dose of inspiration this week is a quote. And I think I chose it because I think it really speaks to what it is that you do and who you are as a person. And so it's by the Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw. And it says, "You use a glass mirror to see your face. You use works of art to see your soul." And I think the more, like you said, we can connect with our inner world, the more. uh, the more we'll actually find and support our own like authenticity, our own originality, our creativity, and we'll find that like that inspiration comes from inside us, not from out here.
Absolutely.
And that's what you
Absolutely.
see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Michelle, before I let you go, do you have a dose of inspiration you'd like to share with us?
Yes. Well, the quote that I live with is what I've shared a lot. So I'll share another one. But the quote that I keep referencing is, life is happening for you and not to you. But another one that I love and I've really held, especially during just really hard times, is barns burnt down. Now I see the moon. Sometimes when everything gets burned to the ground, it's just so you can see what you couldn't see. And I love that so much. Barns burnt down, now I can see the moon.
So, thank you so much for
Thank
spending
you.
time with me and with
Thank
everyone
you.
listening. So, tell us where we can find you, um, and how everybody can get in touch with you.
Yes, please get in touch with me. I am always looking for new friends. You can find me at www.michellegarside, GARSIDE.com. And all about me is there. You can learn about Soul Camp there. You can learn about all the things from there. But michellegarside.com. I'm at the Michelle Garside on Instagram. Find me there. I'm funny. And yeah, come to my website, follow me on Instagram, get in touch.
So, to our listeners, thanks so much for listening to us today. And if you found something that resonated, let me know or share it with somebody, friends and family that you think might enjoy listening. Review it, share it, and make sure to catch my next episode. So until then, be kind and gentle with yourself.
Thanks for sharing your time with me here on Prescribing Possibility. I hope today's conversation offered you a breath of fresh air, a new perspective, or even just a moment of calm in the chaos of life. If this episode resonated with you, pass it along to a friend or a colleague. You never know who might need a little more harmony in their life today. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your questions, or topics you're curious about. Reach out to me anytime on Instagram or LinkedIn at dimtnowhile, or send me an email at podcast@dimtnowhile.com. Until next time, give yourself the grace to grow, the space to rest, and the courage to imagine what's next.